Well, good morning and welcome back out here to another edition of Backcountry Trails. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get another episode out before Christmas, but it looks like I just made it. In this episode, we're going to be taking a trip out to the lower Sonoran Desert, Palm Springs area, Palm Desert area of Southern California, and we're going to be going up Dead Indian Canyon. Now, what makes Dead Indian Canyon special is it's only open a couple months of the year, from the end of September to the end of December, and the rest of the year is closed to the public because it's a Bighorn Sheep mating area. So, and one of the reasons that I went there was we had a pretty significant snowfall at the upper elevations in San Jacinto, and the snow had melted and it had frozen overnight, and the trail was pretty icy and slippery, and I read a couple trip reports where people were slipping and falling on the trail, and luckily nobody was hurt. But I thought, well, this would be a good chance for me to get up there and do a wilderness patrol and test out my micro spikes and check my navigation skills up in the snow. So that's what I did. I went ahead and went up to the Devil's Slide Trail, and I got to admit it was really icy, and even with micro spikes, they really weren't even biting very well. There were spots where the micro spikes you just stuck right on top of the ice, so you really had to stomp your feet to get them in there. But once I got to the upper elevations, I got above Saddle Junction, I got into the Willow Creek area and Skunk Cabbage Meadows. There was about 2 feet of snow up there, and it was crunchy and hard on top, but it was a little soft underneath. So kind of got me to thinking, I need to go back up there after we get a really good snowfall. I do a snowshoe wilderness patrol. So when I got home, I was digging around and I found my snowshoes, my old MSR snowshoes, which I've had for years. And I've used these on some hikes over the years. It's been a long time since I've snowshoed. And when I pulled them out, the straps were brittle and they just snapped, all of them. They were pretty much worthless. Luckily, the Hypalung decking was actually still in good condition, but the straps, these are a couple of the new ones, these are horrible. They were all brittle and broken, so I went ahead and bought some replacement. These are off Amazon. They're not the greatest, but they'll do. So hopefully I'll get these on my snowshoes here, and I get a chance to go up to the San Jacinto Wilderness and do a wilderness snowshoe patrol. But in the meantime, in this episode, we're going to be heading out to the desert. And it was a warm day. It was like 75 degrees. It was only supposed to be, I think, in the low 60s, but it sure felt a lot hotter than that. But anyway, I'm going to head up there. I'm going to go look for some bighorn sheep and head up to the Dead Indian Canyon Oasis out in Palm Desert. Anyway, stick around. That'll all be coming up next in this edition of Backcountry Trails. Well, good morning, and welcome back out to another edition of Backcountry Trails. Today I'm not in the forest, I'm not at a lookout, and I'm not doing a wilderness patrol. I'm actually heading down to the Palm Desert area, the lower Sonoran Desert out in Coachella Valley, and I'm going to be doing a hike up to a place with a very ominous name called Dead Indian Canyon. I've been to Dead Indian Canyon before. It's been 3 years. I didn't realize it had been that long. It's kind of a short hike, and it's a fairly easy hike. It's only 2.5 miles, but it's in sand. So it's like walking 2-3 miles at the beach, so you'll definitely feel it. But it shares the same trailhead as the Art Smith Trail, which I've also taken before. And my goal today is not only to get to the Dead Indian Oasis at the end, but also see if I'm lucky enough to get a good view of the California Peninsular Bighorn Sheep. Dead Indian Canyon is only open from September to December. That's it. The rest of the year is closed. And the reason for that is because it's a bighorn sheep breeding area. And so hopefully we'll get a chance to see some bighorn today. I've been up here before and I didn't see any. But when I got home, the very next day, there was a herd of 40. So I guess it just depends on the luck, which way the herd rolls, whether they go up the hill or down the hill or take the canyon to the left or canyon to the right. But we should be pulling up at the trailhead here pretty quick. In fact, I think it's coming up right here. Dead Indian Canyon, the Art Smith Trail. Let's go check this out. Looks like I almost drove past it. Gonna make a little slight turn here. Yeah, here's the sign, the Art Smith Trailhead. That's where I'm going. Looks like there's only a few cars here. That's a good thing, I guess. Last time I was here, there was some sort of organized event. They had easy ups and all kinds of things set up here. But today, it looks like hardly anybody's here. That's good. Maybe that'll bode well for looking at Bighorn today. All right, let's get to it. Well, good morning and welcome out here to Palm Desert, the Coachella Valley. It's actually the Lower Sonoran Desert. And today I'm going to be taking a trip up to the end of Dead Indian Canyon. There's an oasis at the end. And if I'm lucky today, I'll get to see some fairly rare bighorn sheep, the California Peninsular Bighorn. And this trail I'm going to be going on is only open from September to December every year. The rest of the time, from January all the way through September, it's closed because it's a bighorn sheep breeding area. So hopefully today we'll get lucky and we'll get a chance to see them. Some other things we might see along the way. Hopefully we'll see some wildlife. We'll see some lizards. Maybe we'll get lucky and see a snake. It's a little chilly, a little windy, so I don't know about that. But we'll definitely see some barrel cactus, and who knows, maybe we'll see some ocotillo or yucca or desert creosote brush. I don't know. So in the meantime, we're going to be heading down this direction here. We're going to be heading to the north, to the start of the trail and the opening at Dead Indian Canyon. That'll all be coming up next in this edition of Backcountry Trails. I'm also going to be taking just a small backpack. I had a lot of stuff in here, though. I'm going to be making some coffee back there. I brought my lunch, and we'll see how it goes today. Well, this is kind of the beginning of the Art Smith Trail. It's in the Santa Rosa and San Jacinto Mountain National Monument, and it starts, or we're going to be sharing the first part of the trail with the Art Smith Trail. We're not going to Art Smith Trail. We're going to be taking Indian Canyon, but we're going to be following along the left side of this levee, and then when we get to the other side over there, it's going to open up into a wash. Hopefully that's where we'll see the sheep. This is pretty much the split. The Art Smith Trail goes to the right, follows that levee all the way down to that rock outcrop down there, and we're going to be going to the left into Dead Indian Canyon. Well, this is the kind of the official start of the Dead Indian Canyon Trail. There's another trio of hikers that are working their way that way. There's also a trail up here on the left. I want to stay up here on the left, get a little better overview of the wash down here, and I'm going to work my way around into Dead Indian Canyon. Well, just in case you forget, there's several reminders here about Dead Indian Canyon being closed. But like I said, it's from January 1st to September 30th. So October, November, December, you're good. First week of December, so we're fine. Well, this is a creosote bush, and you'll see these a lot in the washes out here in the desert. We'll see some jumping cholla, and we'll see some pencil cactus, and probably a beaver tail or two, and definitely we'll probably see some barrel cactus. That'll be fun. You know, as I'm working my way into Dead Indian Canyon, there are a few smatterings of trail signs to keep you on the right path, but you can pretty much see where you're going. You can see the oasis at the end, but I've seen these before. If you wonder what these locked boxes are, they're actually trail cams. In fact, inside there is a camera. They do check these periodically to check movement on the bighorns. You know, right now it's only probably in the low 50s with a nice stiff breeze, and as you're walking in the sand, it actually feels pretty good. That trio of hikers that were ahead of me that had crossed into the wash, they had veered off to the right. I have a feeling they were probably trying to get to the Art Smith Trail and just went the wrong way. So I can see the Oasis. It's not that far, but I do have some bouldering scrambles to do. And hopefully I'll get a peek at some bighorn. Nothing yet. Haven't even seen any barrel cactus. There is some pretty interesting rock over here, though. It looks like some desert varnish. Let's go take a look at that. Let's check this out. Isn't that an interesting rock with the layers? It's like it's just folded over time. And that's where we're going. We're going to be going up to the head of the canyon of that oasis over there. All right, well, up there is our first decent look at a barrel cactus. Very common out here. They're protected. Many years ago, people used to rip them out of the ground and take them home and use them as desert landscape in their yards. They got to the point where they were losing so many of them, they decided to make them a protective species out here in the desert, and now hefty fines await anybody that decides to make off with one of these barrel cactus. That's looking down at Indian Canyon. We're hiking up into the canyon, but came across this spectacular rock wall, steep ascent up into the cliffs. That's where the bighorn live. And off in the far distance at the head of this canyon is the oasis. That's where we're eventually heading. How would you like to have to scramble up that thing, huh? There is a giant barrel cactus at the top of that. There's another one over here, right on the ridge line there. Hopefully, we'll see more of that. You know, people think that this is such an easy hike because it's only a couple of miles, but what they don't tell you is it's a couple of miles in sand. And some places it's deeper and softer than others. Like right here, it's not too bad, but earlier it was over my boot tops. All right, well, this is when it started to get interesting. You have to pick your way through the rocks and boulders. Best route you can find. And hopefully you pick the easiest route. All right, well, here it looks like more layers of sedimentary rock. It's got this phenomenal hue. It's orange coloring. Well, you can tell that civilization has made its way up here. Hate to see that. There are some interesting boulders over here. Well, I wonder what's been living back there, huh? Let's go explore over here, see what's back here. Nothing today. Well, it looks like somebody vandalized the rock here, and it looks like somebody has taken the time. It's probably this whole slab was probably covered in graffiti at one point, and somebody or someone took the time to repair it. And then down underneath here, under this overhang, you can see something. Obviously, he's been living there at one time, probably a pack rat of some type. Well, this is our first decent view of the oasis at the back end. We had to do some scrambling to get up here. There's not really a trail per se. There's spaces in between the boulders where you can see footprints, but that's about it. You're basically on your own when it comes to picking your route. So it looks like I'm going to be going either up that right there or to the left. I'm going to go to the right. Go up that layered rock right there. It looks like the most direct route. Well, here's another good shot of the dead Indian Canyon Oasis. So the climb begins. This rock is pretty smooth and polished, which means that while it looks like it has good traction, it actually doesn't. So in places, you need to try to keep 3 points of contact on the rock, if not more. And as you get higher up, it gets a little slicker. I'm gonna have to remember this on the way down. Well, this is the end of the road for me here today. This is the Dead Indian Canyon Oasis right here. This big jet flies overhead. Some tremendous old growth Washingtonian palms that are home to many creatures, birds, reptiles, mice, snakes, you name it. It lives here and amongst the palm fronds and the cracks and the crevices of the boulders up here at the end of Dead Indian Canyon. All right, what do you say we go explore a little bit here in the oasis? Last time I came up here, I slipped on some palm fronds, fell into a hole. Yeah. Got to be careful not to do that again. This is from the middle of the grove. All right, well, I am in the middle of the Dead Indian Canyon Oasis Grove, the Palm Grove, here at the dead end of Indian Canyon. They've got some phenomenal views. There's some great Washingtonian palms. You have to be careful down here, though, because if you step on a palm frond, they're slippery and you'll slide into a hole you can't see and you'll be stuck down here. And it's nice and cool in here. I was actually getting hot. Even though temperature-wise is not hot, it's in the direct sun, so. But I'm going to go fire up my stove, make some coffee, maybe have a leftover turkey sandwich. What do you say, huh? Well, I made it down to the dead end of, literally the dead end of Dead Indian Canyon. And this is the oasis at the very end. You can scramble if you want to do some serious boulder climbing to get above this. It actually splits into Indian Creek on the left and Ebbins Creek on the right. And you can eventually work your way all the way up around and go cross country to Haystack Mountain, but that's not on the agenda today. Since it's just a few days after Thanksgiving, I want to take a break here in the shade and eat a leftover turkey sandwich. And I'm going to have a beer. I was going to make some coffee, but it's too hot. So this is smashed pumpkin. From Shipyard Brewing. How is that for an appropriate alcoholic beverage right after Thanksgiving? There was one other guy that was just ahead of me on the trail. He went past this. He must have went further up canyon. I don't know how far. Haven't seen any bighorn. Maybe we'll get lucky on the way out. Well, besides the airplane noise, you see the human footprint. But what you'll also see over here looks like a sheep footprint. There's another one right there. Another one up there. So at some point, the sheep were going down through this wash. I see here's another one. And it looks like maybe a baby. Well, I'm heading back from the Dead Indian Canyon Oasis. It's right behind me over here. And if you wonder how it got its name, the Dead Indian Canyon, it's because the old Indian died looking for the bighorns. This is twice now I've been here. 3 times if you include the Art Smith Trail. And I haven't seen one bighorn. Now I'll get home tomorrow and I'll go on all trails and I'll see that people saw 40 of them. Probably in the afternoon, probably not, midday like it is now. But how it got its name was in the 1930s, the ranchers and settlers that lived out here in the Coachella Valley, a lot of them were horsemen. They liked to ride horses and they had cattle, and they liked to, on their days off, they would come out here and kind of explore the canyons and check out some of the desert life. And on one of their nights, they were camped at the mouth of Dead Indian Canyon. And as the wind came from the higher elevations, swooping down through the canyon, it sounded like a howl, like a painful, eerie, ghostly howl coming down the canyon. And they, I guess in their drunken state, probably decided that that was a dead Indian that was in pain, moaning up in the canyon. So that's how it got its name, Dead Indian Canyon. It's actually called Indian Creek, and the trailhead is now called Dead Indian Canyon. So I guess they took that old story and lore from almost 100 years ago, and they made it into the Dead Indian Canyon Trail. But so far, I haven't seen anything. You never know. When I get to that wash at the end, there could very well be bighorns. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open. They're extremely hard to spot. Their camouflage blends in really well. So unless they're moving or they happen to kick a rock down, you'll hear that probably before you'll see them. Unless they're in the wash, then it's pretty easy to spot them. Keep our fingers crossed. It's a lot hotter than I thought it was going to be. It was supposed to be like 50 something today, and I'm sweating pretty good. Now, way off in the distance across the canyon, that's the Art Smith Trail. You can see people working their way up. There they are right there. Well, I made it back to the car over here at the trailhead for the Art Smith Trail. It's a short hike. It was only 2.5 miles. Didn't take that long. Stopped for a break, had an early lunch, and now I'm going to be heading home. I want to take the scenic route home. It's a little warmer than I thought. I'm going to have some coconut water. It's always refreshing for me. I don't know why. But it was a good day. I didn't see any bighorn again. Didn't see any snakes again. But it was a lot hotter than I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be a lot cooler than this. I thought, it's going to be in the 50s. I brought my jacket and didn't even need it. I was sweating pretty good coming back. But anyway, this was kind of an extra hike. I wasn't planning on doing a hike before the end of the year, and this just kind of presented itself. I do want to get back up to the San Jacinto Wilderness, but I'm going to wait until we get a pretty significant snowfall, because after that last snow series we had, a lot of it melted on the trail and it totally iced up. And I was reading some of the trip reports on all trails, and one posted from just yesterday. A lady said that she fell 4 times going up and 5 times coming down. Just as slickered and snot right now. And if even with micro spikes and trekking poles, it's pretty slippery. I'm too old to be falling on hard ice. You know what I mean? So I'm going to wait for either a significant snowfall where I'm going to be hiking in snow, or it's got to melt. One of the two. I'm not going to take that risk. So I guess if I go up the South Ridge Trail, there isn't as much, and I'm pretty much snow-free until you get to the top. So maybe that's a possibility. But that's just going to get me to Tuckwitz Peak, and I've been up there a million times. I'm kind of looking forward to getting into the Willow Creek Trail and the Carumba Trail and get into Tuckwitz Meadow and the valley down there. I'm kind of looking forward to that in the snow. But in the meantime, you got to love this weather. It's probably 72 right here, just I guess south of Palm Springs. And the people I ran into at the trailhead, they were from Minnesota. They were here for like a week, and they're loving it. They came from probably 10 feet of snow where they live, and they're out here hiking in shorts. Can't beat that. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, the abbreviated episode to Dead Indian Canyon and Palm Desert. And don't forget to hit that click and subscribe button and tap that notification bell. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, because that really helps the algorithms for YouTube. And in the meantime, I got to hop in the car and start heading home before that traffic gets too bad. Well, anyway, have a good New Year if I don't see you between now and then. And next time you're up in Idlewild, come by and see me. All right, take care. Well, what'd you think about the trip out to Dead Indian Canyon? I'm kind of bummed I didn't get to see the Bighorn Sheep. And of course, just like always, the next day I see a trip report. 2 days later, I see a trip report. There was a huge herd that came down out of the canyon and went across the wash and went up over to the Art Smith Trail. And I just missed them again. So, there's 2 in a row now. Actually, 3 in a row if you count the trip to Dead Indian Canyon, the second trip to Dead Indian Canyon, and then also my trip to the Art Smith Trail. So I've been to that area 3 times now. I've been skunked. So I don't know. You got bad luck, I guess, over there in that area. But I am going to go back up there probably another time or 2. I've been trying to look for some trails I haven't been on in that area. And once it gets a little more deeper into the winter, and I'm looking for something just to warm up, maybe I'll find me another trail. I can always go back to the South and North Lichen Trail. I hear good things about that, and I've done the South Lichen Trail. I actually saw a couple of bighorn on that one, so maybe I'll go back up there again, maybe in January or February. Another thing we got going on, I've been talking about making that trip out to the Giant Rock out in, I guess it's sort of Joshua Tree area, Landers, the backside of San Bernardino Mountains. And we also want to go to Hercules' Finger. That's been gnawing at me for a while now. So it looks like maybe that's going to happen in January. And down the road, my sister from Utah is going to be coming out. And hopefully we'll get us a reservation for Yosemite. I'm just dying to take her to Yosemite, where we're going to take in the valley floor and maybe do a hike up to Vernal Fall and Nevada Falls, get a good look at Yosemite Falls and Bridalveil Falls, and just kind of give her the overall experience of the Wawona Tunnel, that magnificent view right as you come into Yosemite. So hopefully, if things work out, that'll be coming up later on in the early part of the summer of 2026. Well, anyway, I hope you guys had a great Christmas, and hope you have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year, and hope you get some good stuff for Christmas that you can use out in the backcountry while you're out cruising. And don't forget, I'm going to be a Wilderness Patrol Ranger up in the San Jacinto Wilderness. And so if you're up that way over the next 6 months or so, if you run into a ranger, make sure you show them your permit and stop and say hi. Alrighty, take care. Oh, also, don't forget to hit that click and subscribe button and tap that notification bell so people are more aware of the channel. It'd be nice to get some more followers, just so I can share the information I've learned over the last 30 years of hiking in Southern California with you. And You guys be safe, especially in the icy terrain, and you guys take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone.
All right, brah. You good? You good?